Good morning, everyone, and thanks, Eric, for the introduction. As Eric said, my name is Alicia Wenzel, and I'm going to be talking today about our Safe to Swim monitoring program here at the Central Valley Water Board. This program is part of our swamp monitoring efforts. Here we go. Sorry, just trying to figure out how to advance the slides. So I'm giving the presentation today, but I just wanted to take a moment to acknowledge that there are a lot of different staff that help with this program here in our region. And if you've been involved in our Safe to Swim monitoring, you've probably talked to one or more of these people. A quick overview. I wanted to take the opportunity to give everyone just a quick background on the Central Valley region, as well as the surface water ambient monitoring program. And then the bulk of my presentation, I'll be talking about our Safe to Swim monitoring. And at the end, I'll give you some information on some of our reports and findings. So as probably everyone's familiar with, in California, there's a state water board as well as 9 regional water quality control boards. The Central Valley region is the largest of the regional water boards. It comprises about 40% of the state. We have 3 distinct water basins in our region, the Sacramento River, San Joaquin River, and the Tulare Lake basins. So given all this area, we have pretty diverse terrain and land use. Probably everyone is familiar with the large amount of agriculture on the valley floor, but we also have in our region the west slope of the Sierras and the foothills. So given all of this, we have a lot of water quality issues to keep us busy. So as I mentioned, this Safe to Swim monitoring is part of our SWAMP effort. SWAMP is a program that started around 2000 and is tasked with assessing water quality in all of California's surface waters. We do this through direct monitoring and through collaborative partnerships. I hope everyone participating today is familiar with SWAMP. We have a lot of resources available for monitoring groups. If you're not familiar with those, I encourage you to visit the SWAMP website and explore some of the tools, reports, and other webinars that are available there. So the matrix I have up right now is something that SWAMP has developed to kind of help visualize how we're doing at assessing all of California's waters. So along the right here, you see the different water body types, and along at the top of the table is different beneficial uses, or the questions that we ask about water quality. As all programs, SWAMP has had to prioritize what we monitor. So especially at a statewide level, a lot of our SWAMP efforts have been focused on aquatic life and healthy ecosystems and whether it's safe to eat from the water bodies. So we saw an opportunity to start answering the question of whether it's safe to swim in our region. Some of our other reasons for focusing on swimming, it's relatively low cost. Our SWAMP invested in purchasing the equipment to do the analysis for bacteria in our laboratory. So this program is rather staff intensive, but other costs are fairly low. Also, swimming is something that there's a lot of public interest in. It's a way that people can relate to water quality. And because of that, there's a lot of opportunity for coordination. And we wanted to do some outreach with the many citizen watershed groups in our region. So some of the indicators we use for assessing whether it's safe to swim, the main one we use is E. coli, a type of bacteria. We do the analysis using IDEX call alert system, again, in our laboratories. And we mainly chose this because of the simplicity of that system and the ease of training different staff and student employees to use that system. Additionally, we also, of course, want to assess our data, and so we need some sort of guidelines. And U.S. EPA has established contact recreation guidelines for E. coli. I do want to note that those guidelines are being updated right now, so anyone interested in this issue should, of course, visit their website and look at the many documents they have available, including an email list people can join if they want to get updates on that process. Additionally, at sites where we have found elevated E. coli, so on a targeted basis, we've monitored for specific pathogens. And the main ones we use are the four I've listed here: Giardia, Cryptosporidium, Salmonella, and E. coli 0157. Another major component of our Safe to Swim program is coordination with watershed groups. These watershed groups have helped us in a couple of ways. One of the main ones is identifying swimming holes, since they have a lot of local knowledge. Also, when the groups have interest and the available resources, we've worked with them so they actually conduct some of the field work and help us collect samples. In exchange, SWAMP tried a number of things. We've trained all of the groups, both in person, and we also supply them with handouts called cheat sheets. And we also have a YouTube video to show them how to collect the water samples. We also supply them with the field sheets and field supplies they need for the sampling. We do all of the analysis at our office laboratory. We have 3 offices in Redding, Rancho Cordova, and Fresno. And we also do all of the data management. So all of the data collected by both our regional board staff and the watershed groups is entered into our SWAMP database and eventually is made public through the California Environmental Data Exchange Network, or CEDN. And we also produce assessment reports and other information tools using all of the data. So some other components of our program. We wanted to cover as much of the region as possible with our monitoring. And we're monitoring for ambient conditions. So this is a little different for some people that might be more familiar with beach or coastal monitoring, where the monitoring is aimed at postings for swimming safety. We don't really have the resources for that, considering the large area we're trying to cover. But we can still provide general information on the condition of the swimming holes. So we are focused on swimming holes and rivers and creeks. We're trying to monitor where people are most often swimming. And we try to conduct our monitoring while people are out there swimming, so during the summer months. And since 2007, when our program just started, our monitoring design has evolved and expanded, and I'll be going over that. So our program started in 2007 with a pilot study. Our initial monitoring design was to monitor around a holiday weekend. So we selected Labor Day weekend and sampled before, during, and after that weekend. In 2007, the main point was kind of to figure out the logistics of working with watershed groups and getting the samples analyzed within the holding time. So they went out and monitored 15 sites and working with 2 different watershed groups. That same monitoring design was greatly expanded in 2008. We worked with a total of 21 watershed groups. Some of those were just helping us identify swimming holes, but some of them were also out helping us monitor. And we were able to visit 56 different swimming holes that summer. In 2009, we were focused more on doing some follow-up work to those the 2007 and 2008 studies, and try to identify sources or see what kind of tools we could use. So we did a limited follow-up study focused on the watersheds where we'd found elevated E. coli. That was primarily the Yuba watershed and the Lower American River watershed. That was the first time we went out and tried to monitor for specific pathogens, as well as E. coli. And we monitored both swimming holes and upstream and downstream locations to see if we could identify any obvious sources. The other study we did in 2009 was a source identification study using bacteriodales, and I apologize if I'm not saying that correctly. So it's a process where we work with UC Davis laboratory, and they can use RNA to identify the animal source of bacteria in the water. And they were able to identify human, cow, and dog RNA. The study included 12 sites, which included both swimming holes and some agricultural sites where we had done previous monitoring, and all of the sites were where we found elevated E. coli. Unfortunately, UC Davis was not able to identify avian sources at that time. In 2010, was kind of a regrouping period. We wanted to do some planning and figure out a long-term study plan. So we did a couple of different things. In June, we did some targeted pathogen sampling, again at the sites where we found elevated E. coli. Also, in large part due to some very enthusiastic and motivated student employees, we went out to some of the lake sites in the Sacramento area. And then later in the summer, in August and September, we worked with the Watershed Groups again to go back out to many of the swimming holes throughout the region. But one of the things we decided to focus on is that we would like to sample more throughout the summer swimming season, which we started to do in 2011. So we have a core set of sites that are monitored by water board staff that are twice a month, and another set of sites monitored monthly by the various watershed groups that we've partnered with. We monitor from around May to September here. And in 2011, we worked with 7 watershed groups and were able to visit 77 sites. Most of those are swimming holes, but that does include some upstream and downstream sites as well. We also had some targeted pathogen monitoring. But one of the limitations we had at that time due to state contracting and other things was that we had to complete the monitoring by June. So after the 2011 season, we started working more with UC Davis to develop a 3-year monitoring plan and contract process so that we can monitor throughout the swimming season. So this last year, in summer of 2012, we again monitored throughout the summer swimming season. We worked with 6 different watershed groups and were able to visit 73 sites. You will notice on the map here that we were not able to monitor many of our Sacramento sites, and that's due to the fact that our Redding office was relocating and didn't have access to their laboratory. We also, again, were able to go out to some of the lake sites around the Sacramento area. So looking forward to next year and beyond, we do plan to continue this sampling design with both monthly and bi-monthly sampling. We will continue to refine sites as we get more information and review our data. And we're also looking for opportunities to expand. So we're considering making the lakes more part of our regular monitoring, looking at adding some sites to the Delta, and also monitoring around some of the many events that occur, especially on the Lower American River. So how do we get the information from our monitoring out to the public and other interested parties? All of our results where we find elevated E. coli and pathogens, we report that information to the local county health departments so that they can follow up on that. We also share the information with our partners so that they get direct feedback on what the results are from their sites for their monitoring. All of the data, as I mentioned, goes into the SWAMP database, and once it's finalized and has gone through our quality assurance and other verification steps, is made available through CDN. To help summarize the data, we develop watershed data sheets with some summary information about the results, and I'll be showing you an example of one of those in just a moment. And then less frequently, we write assessment reports with all of the information we collect. And for each report, we also develop a fact sheet, which is a 2 to 3 page handout with kind of the basic information from that report. So that includes a map and some tables and our main findings from the study. So this is an example of one of our watershed data sheets. So these are 3 pages long. The first page has a map and photos of the sites in the watershed. And the one I have here is from the San Joaquin River near Fresno. The second page has some tables with the results from the study. So the different colors are different sample dates, and then each of these is a different site in the watershed. So this first table, I know it's hard to read on here, I apologize for that, is the results for E. coli. And at the top here is a line that shows the EPA guidelines for single sample maximum for E. coli, which is 235 mpn. And so you can see that this watershed had relatively low E. coli levels. And then the third page of the data sheet is just a table with that same information. And if there had been levels above the water quality guidelines, those would be highlighted here on this table. So I made this table just a quick summary of our findings over the years of our study. So here in the top part of the table is the number of sites we were able to sample each year, and then the number of those sites with samples that exceeded the 235 guideline. And you can see that increased with the number of sites we were monitoring. And then the bottom part is just the total number of samples. And again, the number of those samples that exceeded the 235 guideline. And I also calculated a percentage. And you can see in 2009, this percentage quite a bit higher, but that's because we were targeting sites that we knew had elevated E. coli levels. On our website, you can find reports from 2007 through 2009, and the watershed data sheet up through 2010. We expect to have those data sheets posted for 2011 and 2012 sometime this winter. You can look for those. And we'll have a 3-year assessment report coming out after the 2013 sampling season, hoping that as we collect more data, we'll have more to present. I also wanted to go over some of the resources that are available for anyone who wants to find more information. So the reports that I just mentioned are all available on our website, along with reports and information on our other swamp monitoring efforts. I know this link is a little hard to remember, but if you use Google or your favorite search engine for Central Valley Swamp, and that should get you to the right place. Also, as I mentioned, you can access all of our data that's been finalized through CDN. CDN also has information on all of the swamp monitoring, including both state and regional efforts, as well as other programs like Central Valley's irrigated land monitoring data. Another resource for those interested in the Safe to Swim issue is the California Water Quality Monitoring Council's My Water Quality portals. They have a portal on Safe to Swim. This portal currently doesn't incorporate our monitoring data, but we're hoping to work with them to get that up there soon. And if you're interested in this issue, that's again, you can join in those meetings, and there's a mailing list for people that want to get updates. Additionally, we have a Central Valley monitoring directory. So this directory provides a map and metadata for current monitoring efforts in the Central Valley. So right now you wouldn't see any of our Safe to Swim sites, but probably in the spring we'll be posting our planned monitoring sites for the 2013 sampling season. And you, of course, can see any of the other monitoring efforts in the valley. I also just wanted to take a moment to recognize some of our many partners. So the ones Groups listed here are the groups that have helped us collect samples in the last 2 years, so 2011 and 2012. We really appreciate all of their hard work. And we're always looking for more groups that would like to work with us. So if you're interested in participating in this effort, you can contact TJ Ditto, or you can also contact me with questions about Safe to Swim or any of our other swamp